Dear Mary, you and I are both proud Idahoans, and what that means essentially is that we love our potatoes. So today I thought I'd show you 3 different ways to make potatoes. So the recipes I am going to be making aren't like anyone's official recipes, and I'm not even sure they're the best, but these are just kind of how I like to make these things. I am going to put a couple links down in the description of different recipes that kind of influenced what I'm making. So if you want like an actual official recipe to follow, you can follow those because then you can trust them a little bit more. The first potatoes I'm going to make are French fries. First step is to preheat your oven to 450 degrees. Then you're going to take a washed potato and a cutting board and a large knife, and then you're going to cut up your potatoes. You can use any type of potato you want. I personally prefer russet Idaho potatoes. Those are my favorite. And then I'm just going to cut off each end, and then I'm going to cut it in half. There, like that. And okay, so then you're going to get little fry-shaped potatoes there, and then I'm just going to add them to a big mixing bowl. Oh, now I've added all my pieces to this nice mixing bowl. One got away. Another easy, fun way to do it is to put it in a big bag and then add all the ingredients and shake it around. And if you have kids, that would be a fun activity for them to do, because I'm going to just take a little bit of olive oil and drizzle it over. I'm going to do some garlic, a little bit of paprika, a little pepper, a little bit of salt. And then I'm going to mix it up. Another thing I like to season my potatoes with, if I'm just like cooking up some potatoes, is Italian seasoning. If you wanted a little bit of kick, you could add some spice, like some chili powder or some red pepper. It's all mixed up. Okay, so next thing you're going to do is you're going to take a baking sheet and line it with parchment paper and then evenly space out your fries along it. And then you're going to stick it in the oven for around 30 to 35 minutes. The next recipe we're going to make are potato skins. These are great if you're having friends over and you want some finger food. They're great appetizers, whatever. And they're also very customizable. Typically, potato skins are just like some cheese, bacon, and maybe some chives. But I'm going to be a little bit fancy and do Southwestern. Now, to cook them, you can either pop them in the oven at 400 degrees for about 50 minutes, or if you're not patient enough, you can stick them in the microwave for 6 to 8 minutes. Don't forget, though, if you're microwaving them, to stab them with a fork. And then I am going to pop them in the oven for about 10 minutes just to make sure the outsides are nice and brown and crispy. While my potatoes are baking, I'm going to make the filling. So let's head over to the stove. I'm going to head over to the stove with my medium saucepan to make the filling for the potato skins. So I'm just going to take a little bit of olive oil, splash it in the pan, and then I'm going to turn it to medium heat. Let it warm up a little bit, spread that around, and then I'm going to add my diced onion, white onion, and green pepper. You can use whatever peppers you want. I would suggest like green and red, or maybe more than one, just to add a little bit of color. Once your onion and pepper have nicely browned up, you're going to add a little bit of corn. And a little bit of black beans. These ones have 50% less sodium. How exciting! And then you're going to season it with some taco seasoning. I don't have any taco seasoning. I'm just going to use a little bit of oregano, some chili powder, some paprika, and some salt. I'm going to mix that all together. Now that my potatoes are baked, I'm going to cut them in half. Voila! And then I'm going to scoop out the middle. So now that my skins are hollow, I'm going to scoop a little bit of filling out and just plop it in there. And now my potato skins are filled. And so I'm going to just take a little bit of cheese. The best are probably either like some form of Mexican blend or or cheddar, whichever. Just take some shredded cheese, place it on top, and then I'm going to pop these in the oven for just a couple more minutes, like 2 to 3, just until the cheese is melted, because everything else should be nice and cooked. And for our third and final recipe, we're going to make mashed potatoes. And I love, love, love homemade mashed potatoes. They're so much better than like the 5-minute mashed potatoes. They're so good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some peeled potatoes and I'm going to cut them into little cubes. Now I'm going to take these over to the stove and put them in a pot of boiling water and soften them up. Every once in a while, I'm going to stab them with a fork, and just when they're soft and they're like starting to fall apart, that's when you know they're ready. While they're softening up, we're going to make some homemade gravy to go with our mashed potatoes. So the gravy recipe I found, I'll put down in the description, and it's super simple. You just need 3 tablespoons of butter, 5 tablespoons of flour, 2 cups of chicken broth, and salt and pepper. The first thing you're going to do is melt your butter on a medium-low heat. You don't want it too high or the butter might burn. And then once it's melted, you're going to add your flour. And then I'm going to take this gravy whisk. I'm just going to make sure the butter and the flour is thoroughly combined. Don't mind my potatoes boiling back here. Slowly add your chicken stock. And keep on whisking. FYI, 1 can of chicken broth is going to be about 2 cups. Oh, and then you're going to want to add your salt and your pepper to taste. Alright, so my gravy's done. So I put it in a gravy boat, and it literally is just enough to fill my gravy boat. It's right on the edge. I'd lift it up and show you, but then I'd spill it everywhere. Okay, so now I am done with my potatoes. They have boiled nicely, and they're nice and soft, so when I stab them with a fork, they're kind of falling apart, and they kind of already look a little bit like mashed potatoes. But now I'm going to add a little bit of butter. Make sure your butter's fully unwrapped before adding it. A couple weeks ago, I made some rolls, and I put some butter in it. Did not unwrap the butter all the way, so some of my rolls had this stuff in it. So, yeah, lesson learned. Okay, now, this is a secret ingredient. Half and half, just a little bit. Make sure potatoes show nice and light and fluffy. I love it. Makes me so happy. Putting cream in my taters. Then I'm just going to do a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. I'm going to use a hand mixer. I hope I don't make a mess. That's the eject button. Oh, there we go. And voila! I've finished my 3 different kinds of potatoes. I have my French fries, my Southwestern potato skins, and my classic homemade mashed potatoes with some chicken gravy. And oh my, does this look delicious. I don't know where this accent's coming from. I don't know what it is. These are, for the most part, fairly basic base recipes. There's lots of different things that you can do with it. I mean, with the mashed potatoes, you can go with different types of gravy. And then with the fries, like I told you before, you can season them with different things, make them spicy, you can make them cheesy, put some different types of cheese on them. The recipe, I'll put a recipe in the description, kind of the recipe I got the fries from, that are for carne asada fries. So basic potato skins, you could do kind of the same thing, but instead of filling it with the Southwestern filling, you can just do some cheese and some bacon, maybe some chives or some green onion. If you want to fancify it up a little bit, you could put some sour cream into a plastic baggie, cut off the tip, and then just drizzle a little bit of sour cream over them, and that'll make them look fancy, especially if you like sour cream. So my question for you is, what's your favorite way to eat a potato? Sincerely, Sophistication.